I'm doing a giveaway. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win. What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven and happy Gwensday. Today we are going to be looking at whether or not you should knighthood Good Witch of the North. And to temper some expectations a little bit, I'm not actually going to be using my knighthood on Good Witch of the North. I'm going to be using it on Polywoggle after we lock the shop this turn to cast a shrink spell. And I did debate just using knighthood on Polywoggle on turn 1. It would have slayed if we won that 50-50, but I thought that the shrink spell was also a good investment here. Just lose the first combat, be able to win some of my next ones. Then I go ahead and fire off the knighthood. It just makes it so much more likely that the Polywoggle is actually able to slay. It feels a little bit more genuine when you knighthood after the Polywoggle slays, but I am glad that I went for it in this scenario because I don't think I would have used a knighthood on Good Witch of the North. I wasn't particularly happy to see that unit come out of the Polywoggle, but I am glad that it happened because it actually wound up being much more powerful than I would have initially imagined and made me play out a game in a way that I never had before with Gwen. So we're going to wind up using this free roll, trying to find some good units. Awkwardly, we roll past 2 blind mice and then find a third after using the free roll, so that part is a little bit awkward, but I wanted to find some good units, and you can see these happy little trees are already not even little trees anymore. They're 5/7s, now 5/9s after a buff from the just roll of the turn and then this Good Witch. So you can see the Good Witch is already putting a bunch of work out here as a support, and this shop is certainly pretty interesting. I wind up picking up the Mummy and then using the free roll. I just pick up the Mummy because it is a good unit, and then I look for some actual good units and wind up finding Happy Little Tree, and I almost always take Secret Stash as a tier 2 treasure, but I am not going to pass up a Book of Heroes when I have a Good Witch and a Happy Little Tree already ready to get some scaling in. So this is going to be a fun little Book of Heroes game as well, which is a treasure that you don't really see too often, and definitely some interesting scenarios here. If I didn't have the Book of Heroes, then maybe I'd Shard of the Ice Queen, the Good Witch, but like I said, I'm really glad that I did wind up playing it all out and trying out this game from a different perspective. I will go for the Shard of the Ice Queen on the Romeo. I think we only have 2 good characters that we need to support, and that gives us a Haunted Creeper, which is actually something that I am very much in the mood for to pair with our Happy Little Tree. I'll also get to support an Ogre Princess with the Good Witch, and hopefully that can start to slay, get me some additional econ, and it'll also gain some additional stats from the Book of Heroes. And looks like we've already put together something pretty nice. And I would definitely say, I think I said this already, but the Good Witch is not something that I would normally consider knighthooding before I played this game. Now that I've played this game, I might consider knighthooding a Good Witch of the North just because it provides so much stats and it worked out so well for us in this one. Now, maybe knighthooding the Ogre Princess or something could also be a lot of fun, but we are definitely doing some good work with the characters that we've picked up. I'll pick up another Ogre Princess. Tripling that is going to be really powerful, and we'll get to do that right now this turn. So I'll triple that. That'll give us a tier 3 treasure, and Cursed Throne will continue to allow the Ogre Princess to slay and grow. So that seems like a pretty good deal for me. You could also consider the Cloak there just for the +3/+3, but the Ogre Princess is more than big enough with the Good Witch that I want to get some permanent scaling on the board. And going into 4.0 next turn, that Ogre Princess will start to really pay off, getting us some tier 4 characters and just overall being quite powerful for us. A 15-10 and an 11-22 for 3.2 is quite strong. We're going to be able to slay against my opponent's Brave Princess. Then hopefully Happy Little Tree can just clean up the rest of the board here. Looks like it will be able to. My opponent with a few ranged units, but after that, we are going to be able to Happy Little Tree them down, and Happy Little Tree now up to a 19 28. So definitely feeling quite strong. We get to pick up a King Arthur here as well as another Good Witch. So we'll move to support all of those things. And honestly, I don't hate just picking up a Turkish Delight here, trying to gain some XP. I think that there's two ways certainly to play it out. We could have just rolled and it would have been nice to just pick up this King Arthur here. And it's actually nice enough that I'm still considering it. I like the Creeper, but just selling off my bench, getting another Arthur in there, that's going to give +2/+2 to Ogre Princess, and those stats are really just going to continue to pay off throughout the course of this game. So sell off my full bench. The reason that I say the Turkish Delight is a little bit awkward is because if we wanted to pick up more royals to go along with our Cursed Throne, then we want to stay level 4 for as long as possible. However, when we are taking an Ogre Princess build, I think that XP really does benefit you, because then you'll be able to get some really powerful things like Baba Yaga and then tier 6 units later on into the game, and that is definitely worth leveling up for. So going to be pretty happy with how this combat played out. We just get a Sultak Ancient. That's not super exciting, but we do see a Court Wizard in the shop here, and Court Wizard is really, really good with the Book of Heroes, but I kind of have some other ideas in mind at this point. I don't really want to play Royals. I think I want to play Slay with the Cursed Throne and just how everything is going. Oh, but I'm not even interested in that. Okay, I'll be honest, I forget a little bit of what's happening in this game, but I guess I just decide to roll for a King Arthur. That's going to give me Horn of Olympus, and then from this point is probably when I actually decide to play Slay. I'm going to wind up picking up another Ogre Princess. I'm not even going to support my Ogre Princess that is in 1, because I think, well, actually, never mind. I've got Horn of Olympus. Sorry. It's been a little bit since I played this game. This game's about a week old for me, and I don't remember exactly how we get to the end portion of the game, just that we were really strong in doing so. Ogre Princess going to get a double Slay this turn, and we are going to get some prized pig gold. We do give my opponent a bonus XP, but I don't mind too much because we have got a ton of cash and XP ourselves. And now we're just really going to be rolling for some Baba Yagas and other things like that to really go crazy with in this lobby. I'm going to pick up a Lancelot. That works really well with both of the Good Witches that I have. And then I am going to consider picking up a Sporko. I could sell 3 things for it and pick that up. I'm also considering if I'd want to sell a 4th thing, sell off this Good Witch, and then just cast the Magic Research. But I'm looking at like how these breakpoints work out with Lancelot, and this gets very, very close. If the Lancelot is able to slay here, then it's going to get +2/+2 from slaying, +1/+2 from the +2/+2 from the Book of Heroes, and then +1/+1 from the Cursed Throne. So as long as we can slay with the Lancelot here, that is actually going to get it to 25. Had to do some quick maths on that, but that is going to get us a tier 5 treasure, and from here is when we will really decide to move into a comp or not. We can find some Baba Yagas depending on like what the treasure that we get is from this. Ambrosia, typically not a treasure that I am super excited about, but it actually does work on the current board because we've got Horn. So we can take a Baba Yaga, put that in the last position on our board, and it will still be doubling the Cursed Throne from all of our units, which, by the way, I think is part of the reason that I didn't really go gung-ho on picking up the River Wish Mermaid a few turns ago. And now we are just doubling up that Cursed Throne a whole bunch of times. Lancelot is going to be growing tremendously, and we still have our Gwent unit there, the Good Witch, still making it on the board this late into the game, which is honestly pretty impressive for a character that, like I said previously, wouldn't really have even taken a second look at knighthooding. And now it's got me thinking, this is actually a pretty good unit, just for all of the stats and the build path that it provides. Obviously, we got a little bit lucky with some of these treasures, but that's Storybook Brawl. we are going to wind up slaying with the Lancelot and the Ogre Princess quite easily here. That is going to give us a bunch of tier 5 characters from all of these Baba Yagas, and I'm hoping that we can find some more Baba Yagas off of this Ogre Princess. We are going to get one more slay in with Lancelot before the turn is over. That's going to eliminate Apocalypse from the lobby and give us a whole bunch of stats on the Lancelot as well. We do get to triple this Aeon for free. Take a look at some tier 5 treasures, and Staff of the Old Toad I think is pretty good. We have to decide between tossing Ambrosia, Cursed Throne, and Horn, which of those three I'm definitely not tossing the Horn, and I don't really want to toss the Staff or the Ambrosia either, but the Ambrosia is kind of an awkward treasure because eventually we'll want to just upgrade all of our units anyways, and Staff of the Old Toad can actually help us do that. So I'm going to wind up picking up the Staff, then we find the Baba Yaga so we can easily find the Evil Eye, and then I am eventually going to sell off that Good Witch so that we can pick up one more tier 5 treasure before we move into 6.0. And this was definitely a little bit harder to, I wasn't sure if I wanted to toss the Staff of the Old Toad going into 6.0, but we're going to get a bunch of econ from this Ogre Princess slaying, and Hand of Midas is another one of those treasures where like you want to use it up so that way you can put other things on your board after that. And basically this turn, I'm just going to wind up rolling for Jormungand. We get a little bit of extra econ to be able to do so with the fact that we picked up 9 Sea Terror and got a bunch of Ogre Princess hits in, so we can sell off our bench, and then we do indeed find the Jormungand. So we're going to have an upgraded Jormungand to go with this absolutely massive Lancelot, plus a pair of Baba Yagas. At this point, I would put in a River Wish Mermaid, and I'd also appreciate having the Cursed Throne, but we're doing pretty good nonetheless. And yeah, feeling pretty decent about our chances to win this one from here. Could go for a Pigomorph. We see that our opponent is at 44 health on top of the lobby though, and I think, oh, I actually do go for the Pigomorph. Okay, we have no clue what this Fates is playing. We have a decent idea that they are probably playing something to do with spells, considering they are at 44 health, and they are. They have got a Baba Yaga with an Evil Eye, and then they also have Merlin's Slippers and a Crystal Ball. And one thing that is really, really crazy about this combat, just to back it up for a second, is we get super lucky because we have our Lancelot attack first. That is going to deliver some slays, get a kill, and most importantly, grow my Jormungand to the point where Aeon cannot slay against it. So my opponent does have a Crystal Ball, but they're not going to be able to cast too many spells this turn, and that is going to be huge because then we are going to be able to keep pace and continually scale against them in a way that's going to make it really tough. Like, one of the things with Slay is you could potentially fall off, and then if you don't get your Slay, then you risk losing. And now my opponent is in that position. My opponent is the one that risks losing by not being able to Slay here. We're going to have to sell through a few more units to pick up all of these things that just floated into the shop here, just for some econ, and then I will cast another spell. And I actually don't think Dreaming is too horrible from this position. We could pick up Pup, or we could go Zelhua. Just have our characters a little bit on the cheaper side. I'm going to wind up going for Zelhua and basically just rolling for some River Wish Mermaid action here. At this point, though, I will definitely take another Baba Yaga as well. That'll be really sweet for us. Could lock onto Knighthood, though we've got a bunch of gold this turn that we potentially want to make use of. I also try to sell off of my board, and the reason for that is I think that Ogre Princess will be able to repopulate my board this turn as long as it is able to slay. Now, unfortunately, it actually isn't going to be able to slay, and we are going to take a little bit of damage here, and I have to go back just in this post commentary to see, does my opponent, yes, they do indeed slay with the Aeon as well, so they are going to have cheap spells on this turn. A very back and forth final combat where this turn I'm not scaling, last turn my opponent wasn't scaling, that first attack just being so important. We do get to pick up another Baba Yaga here. Not really any treasures that we can care about on tier 5 because we already cleared out all of the good ones, so not going to worry about that too much. Here I see a Princess P, which I think it might be time to replace the Ogre Princess, get that in, and then I take a look at my opponent's board and I'm realizing Lightning Dragon actually does do a lot of work against my opponent's backline. It kills everything, and if we can find a River Wish Mermaid to complement that with, that'll still be pretty good for us. So no reason playing the Lightning Dragon right this second, and I actually debate throwing in the Ogre Princess even so, and then just throwing in a backline Jormungand. And I think that this works out pretty well for us as well. The only question is, do we want to attack with Jormungand second or third, hoping that the Ogre Princess can slay? I just didn't really think the Ogre Princess had it in her, so I'm not going to worry about that. Again, we deny the Aeon, the Baba Yaga slay, so that works out really, really well for us. And then my backline just being a little bit bigger than my opponent's allows us to deal some more damage to them. Definitely a lot of really, really fun back and forth, and now we are going to be able to put in a Lightning Dragon, and I think that's really going to eliminate the back and forth from this lobby. Now my Lightning Dragon is going to immediately slay, which means that my Jormungands are going to immediately grow, and my opponent just isn't even going to have the opportunity to slay with some of their other characters. So I don't even think I need to cast this Pigomorph here, and I consider just locking it. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't like it. I think I'm just going to roll. And we see this very weird bug. And I said to temper your expectations at the start of this one. And that is because the servers actually crashed for Storybook Brawl, which was a really, really unfortunate way to end the game. I tried to get back into it, but we just couldn't connect to the server. Definitely an awkward way for it all to wrap up. But Alexis, one of the developers of Storybook Brawl, was nice enough to look into this issue for me, and while they couldn't pinpoint the exact server issue, which is why I reached out in the first place, just to let them know that something happened. I wasn't the only one. There were a few other people that were kicked out of games at the same time that I was, but they let me know that I did actually win that game. I was right. I didn't even need to cast the Pigomorph at that point. My characters were big enough that they were just going to be able to slay and grow, and I didn't even have to touch the board anymore at that point. And obviously it meant that my opponent really probably wasn't adding many stats to the board, but regardless, we did get the first place finish to finish it all off. I won't get to show you guys that, unfortunately. I guess we can take a look at one of those final combats again, and we can just pretend, okay, this is what happened on the next combat right here. Bam. Okay, yeah, same thing happens. I mean, we don't have the Lightning Dragon in, but we can take a look to see Lightning Dragon with however much attack that it had. Was it 36 attack? 34. 34 attack. So yeah, 34 attack. Lightning Dragon could clear anything in my opponent's backline. At that point, they're not slaying up against the Jormungand. They're definitely not taking down this Jormungand either, and we are going to have an easy time. I guess I went back 2 combats, right? Yeah, let's jump into this one. So this would have been even a more dominating performance, but it was still a whole bunch of fun, excuse me. And yeah, definitely a really interesting game from a character that I would have otherwise underestimated with the Good Witch of the North, but I'm happy to be able to bring some of that to y'all, even if I wasn't able to show you the end of the game there. That is going to be it for me for this video. Unfortunately, that is the end of the video, despite not being the end of the game. But thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace. This week's giveaway word is level. Each week I use a new code word. That's just to distinguish who's commenting for which week. And the reason I have you guys say a code word, that way I can tell who is interested in the dust and who's just commenting to say hi or that they enjoyed the video, stuff like that. You can definitely do both. Just make sure you include this week's code word. You can also enter as many times as you want per week once per video. You can go back, leave comments on old videos, just make sure they include this week's word, but there's no limit to how many times you can enter, other than, I guess, the amount of videos that I have. And I've been putting out a bunch of Storybook Brawl videos since last October, so yeah, there are a bunch of opportunities to enter to win. You can go through the backlog and watch some of those, but it's been really fun to receive the comments from you guys, get that level of interaction. You can also come join me on my Discord, which I'm trying to grow right now, just so that I have feedback on my titles and thumbnails and things like that, but I also have some fun ideas for special game modes that I could make work with lobbies of players in the future. So feel free to check that out as well. There is a link to that in the video description, and help me climb on my way to 1,000 subscribers. I'm getting there slowly but surely, and thank you guys all very much for your support.